Good morning, Cumberland Bears. We are on the come up. Today is Tuesday, May 12th, 2020. Today you will be listening to Jack and the Beanstalk Part 2. You will listen carefully to learn what it means to treat someone rudely in this fairy tale and to determine the parts where someone was being treated rudely. As you think about Part 1 of Jack and the Beanstalk, and you listen to Jack and the Beanstalk Part 2, I want you to think about these questions. In the first half of the fairy tale, Jack and his mother had a problem when their cow stopped giving milk and they had no other way to eat. How was this problem solved? What new problems does Jack encounter in the second half of the fairy tale? How were these problems solved? Do you think it is right for Jack to take the coins, hen and harp from the giant? Why or why not? And I also want you to think about what part of the story were people being treated rudely. You are going to listen to Jack and the Beanstalk Part 2. Remember, you can always go back and listen again more than once.
First grade friends, welcome back to Part 2 of Jack and the Beanstalk in our CKLA Listen and Learn series. We're on Domain 9 and we're on Part 2 of Jack and the Beanstalk. Now, when we left off, Jack had sat down at the tall woman's table for a snack and he heard something coming. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into this story. "Goodness gracious, it's my husband," said the giant's wife. "What on earth shall I do? Quick, jump in here!" And Jack jumped into the oven just as the giant came in. He was a big one, to be sure. He had 3 cows tied to his belt. He threw them down on the table and said rudely to his wife, "Here, wife, cook me a couple of these for breakfast." But wait, what's this I smell? Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. "Now, dear," said his wife, "it's nothing but the leftover smell of that little boy you had for dinner yesterday. Go along and wash up, and by the time you come back, I'll have breakfast ready." So the giant went off, and Jack was about to jump out of the oven when the woman whispered, Wait till he's asleep. He always takes a nap after breakfast." The giant gulped down his breakfast. Then he went to a giant chest and took out 2 big bags. He sat down, and from the bags he took out piles of gold coins. He began counting them very slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then his head began to nod, and soon he began to snore, so that the whole house shook. Well, Jack crept out of the oven, tiptoed past the giant, grabbed one of the bags of gold, which he could barely lift, and ran lickety-split back to the beanstalk. He threw down the bag of gold, which fell ker-plunk into his mother's garden. Then he climbed down until at last he reached the ground. "Well, Mother," he said, "wasn't I right about the beans? They really are magic." For a while, Jack and his mother bought what they needed, and a little more with that bag of gold. But at last, the bag was empty. So Jack made up his mind to try his luck again at the top of the beanstalk. He climbed and he climbed, and he climbed, and once again, sure enough, there was the great tall woman standing on the doorstep of her house. And once again, he asked for something to eat. "Go away, boy," said the woman, "or else my husband will eat you up for breakfast. But say, aren't you the youngster who came here once before? Do you know, on that very day my husband lost one of his bags of gold?" "Did he now?" said Jack. How very strange. Maybe I could help you find it, but I'm so hungry that first I must have something to eat." So the great tall woman gave him something to eat, but he had hardly taken a bite when, thump, 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 they heard the giant's footsteps. Once again, the wife hid Jack in the oven. It all happened as it had before. In came the giant, bellowing or shouting in a loud voice, "Oh, fum!" Then, after gulping down 3 broiled ox for breakfast, the giant said, "Wife, bring me my hen and my golden harp." The wife brought them. The giant looked at the hen and barked, "Lay!" And the hen laid an egg, all of gold. Then the giant looked at the golden harp and said, "Sing!" And the golden harp sang beautifully. And it went on singing until the giant fell asleep and started snoring like thunder. Well, Jack sneaked out of the oven and crept like a mouse on his hands and knees. Then he crawled up the table, grabbed the hen and golden harp, and dashed toward the door. But the hen began to cluck, and the harp called out, "Giant! Giant!" And the giant woke up just in time to see Jack running away with his treasures. Jack ran as fast as he could, and the giant came bounding after him and would have caught him, only Jack had a head start. And when Jack got to the beanstalk, he climbed down as fast as he could. The giant reached the beanstalk and he stopped short. He didn't like the idea of climbing down such a ladder. But like it or not, the giant swung himself down onto the beanstalk, which shook with his weight. Well, by this time, Jack had climbed down and reached home. "Mother!" he cried. "Give me an axe! Hurry!" His mother came rushing out with an axe in her hand. She ran with Jack to the beanstalk, and then she screamed with fright as she saw the giant making his way down. Jack swung the axe and gave a chop at the beanstalk. The giant fell. The giant felt the beanstalk start to shake, and he stopped to see what was the matter. Jack gave another chop and another chop, and the beanstalk began to topple over. Then the giant fell down and broke his crown, and the beanstalk came tumbling after. From then on, Jack and his mother had all the money and music they wanted, for the hen gave them golden eggs, and the harp sang for them all day long. And they all lived happily ever after. Wow.